introduce your amazing moderator right now. Please welcome to the stage founder and CEO of Grant Media Group, the beautiful Miss Essence Grant.
Woo!
Next we have Purpose and Movement Marketing Brand Strategist of Truist, Miss Alex Wagner. How you doing?
Doing great.
And Nikki Bargin, Managing Director of the Brand Shop. I'm sorry. Welcome to the stage as well. So please feel free to listen to this amazing conversation. You all gonna get some gems. Because listen, this is a master class, so you're getting some exclusiveness right here with these beautiful ladies on the stage. So please take it away.
Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Kyle. I feel like, I don't know, I'm at a pep rally. That was really good. And thank you for that introduction. Yeah. Thank you so much, and thank you all for joining us today. We are really excited to be here. We are in great hands with Nikki and Alex. Lots to learn, so we're going to get started. Welcome to Navigating the Brandscape, standing out in a saturated market. And we are your Brandscape guides. Really, I'm the moderator. These are your real guides, but you know, so direct your questions to them at the end. So as Kyle said, my name is Essence Gant. I'm your moderator, joined by Nikki and Alex. And we are going to kick it off by giving you some insight into our purposes and missions, just to kind of set the tone. So my personal purpose is to radiate light and inspire others to recognize their own beauty and live their lives authentically. And Gant Media Group's purpose is to tell stories that touch hearts and inspire goodness. Nikki and Alex, what about the two of you?
That's an awesome brand purpose.
I agree.
Really good. Okay, so I am Nikki Barjan, as they mentioned, as Essence mentioned. And my personal purpose is to inspire, empower, and positively impact everyone I encounter. And the Brand Shop's purpose is to help brands expand possibilities and deepen their impact.
That's beautiful too. So I feel so honored that I'm standing here next to these fabulous two purpose-led ladies, purpose-inspired, both personally and in their business. So that gives me great confidence and just excitement, because I know people that are leading on purpose, they're driven and inspired by their own purpose. They've just got other energy, and I call it the solar power of the soul. And so that's what I'm dealing with here. So I'm really excited. My personal purpose, the way I define it, is to accelerate and amplify good so that more people can live fulfilled and joyful lives. So it took me a while to get there, but I landed it, and I love what I do because it so works together with my personal purpose. So Truist is a purpose-led financial institution, and our purpose is to inspire and build better lives and communities. And so you can see how these two work really well together. And if you look at all of them, the personal purpose plays a role and in the brand itself. And so when you can see yourself in your organization, it just gets you fired up in a different way. So we wanted to start with this to get you thinking about this for you personally. So as we said earlier, this is a masterclass, so I'm going to toss it back to you, Essence, to give us a little instruction how that's going to run.
Amazing. I feel like the news. Back to you. Okay. So here's a little bit about what you can expect to learn today and what you can walk away from. We are going to cover a lot of ground. If you're just coming in, feel free to come in. Don't be shy. You can come up front if you see an open seat. And so a little bit about what you will walk away today is understanding of what branding is, the ability to recognize key areas of branding, some quick practical tips on how to build a brand, and useful resources, including a self-brand audit. And we really want you all to get the most out of this session. Lean in, participate. I think we're going to have time for a Q&A at the end, so don't be shy. And I know that it's a lot of information. You're going to receive a lot of information today, but also don't stress about that if you can't jot down every single note, because we will have a downloadable presentation for you as well. Yes, clap.
Yes. This is hands-on. We want you guys to really feel empowered after this. So think of it this way. Take out your notebook, jot down. This is your start of a long journey, and we want to do it together because John Hope Bryant creates some amazing energy here, and wouldn't it be amazing if you started your own journey with that energy in your tailwind? So that's what we're about, inviting you to join us here.
Yes. And I think this goes without saying, if there is something that you want us to clarify or expand on, we don't need to just stick to the slides. This is a masterclass and we want it to be interactive. So please stop us if there's something that you need us to expound upon.
Amazing. Okay, so let's get started. First, what is the Brandscape? It is the range of brands available in the market or a specific market segment, especially considered collectively as a cultural phenomenon. So we recognize each of these brands, and we want you to think about them and how they stand out in their respective industries. So why do you think they stand out? What do they stand for or against? Are there any others that come to mind? A few major brands and their purposes that we put together are Disney, and their purpose is to entertain, inform, and inspire people around the globe through the power of unparalleled storytelling. Amazon, to be Earth's most customer-centric company. And Apple, bringing the best user experience to customers through innovative hardware, software, and services. Do y'all have anything to add to that, or?
So our idea is we started with this to get your minds thinking about brands and which ones stand out to you. So think a little bit about where, what brands come to mind for you and what stands out. Why does it attract you personally? And we'll get into that, so think about it because it'll connect to what you're gonna learn. So what we talk about in that other slide before we get here is some of those brands you might feel attracted to because they have a purpose, they have a mission, or you just like the way they look and the people they associate with. So think about those brands and who you see associated with it. That's part of their image and all of that. So going to the next slide, thank you.
You're welcome.
We wanted to give you this prompt as we started talking about purpose. Instead of just talking about purpose and everyone saying, yeah, that's a cool word to throw around, we actually wanted to anchor everyone in what do we mean with that? Because people throw around purpose and mission often, and they get mixed, maybe confused, or just interchanged. And we wanted to show you the difference between the two and to help you think through your own personal mission and your own personal purpose and the nuance. So the best way to do this is to tell you the story of the honeybee. So just relax for a second and just go along with this. So the honeybee, every day, every morning it wakes up and it buzzes around, gets out of its hive, and it goes looking for what? It goes looking for nectar. No? What? Pollen? What does it look for? Flowers? Yeah, it goes out to look for flowers because there it's looking for nectar. And once it gets the nectar, it flies back to the hive, and in its special combination of other stuff in its gut, it spits it out as honey, and that's really cool. And what the honey does, it actually feeds the entire hive, especially the queen bee, who they need to keep the whole place alive. So pretty incredible work. Every day, the honeybee does this. So most of us would say, wow, that is a really incredible job it's doing, must be at the biggest level. Well, what the honeybee doesn't know, that unbeknownst to its little daily journey, its daily mission, its actual purpose is to pollinate the world. So when you think of the context, the difference, the magnitude of difference between its daily mission, while it's incredibly helpful, useful, and even the life of the hive depends on it, when you go to a higher dimension and look at the purpose level, it's talking about the globe and the world and what impact it has. So I want you to take a minute, if you have a notepad and paper, but just to think and write down, what is your personal purpose? What are you doing on the level that's at the pollination of the world level versus what you're doing on the level of making honey? So get that nuance difference, and then you'll get where we're leaning into and why some brands therefore have the ability to leverage this much higher level of purpose direction, purpose inspiration to make their brand come to life authentically. That's what we wanted to root you in first. All right, you guys are on board? Going on? All right, let's move on. So as I was saying, prompting you to just write this down. What is your personal purpose? If you've already got it, and if you think purpose is a big word, just talk about what inspires you, what fires you up, what's your solar power in your gut. Think about that, and just jot anything down that comes to mind for now. It's a journey, typically. It takes people a while to develop it, and we encourage you and invite you to do that. We think it makes your life just better and more exciting. And then what is your company's purpose? If you own your own company, have you thought about that? If you work for a company, do you have one? Just to see the nuance. That's all we're doing right here. It's just training a little bit of muscle experience. So, moving on. I know we got to go. Keep us going.
It's all right. And if you guys, again, like Nikki said, if you have any questions, comments, feel free to raise your hand. We do want this to be an interactive experience. Hi, I saw you this morning. Katrina?
Yes.
I got it, yep.
When you say purpose, you consider that interchangeable with vision, or do you just stick with purpose?
Yeah, that's a great question. Purpose versus vision. So we believe that you kind of have to cast a vision of where your organization, where you ideally want to go. So we say it's the furthest thing you can possibly see. So vision is the concept of like that starting. And then once you have the vision, vision might just be a concept, but then purpose is its exact articulation. Mm-hmm. Yes?
I can see where this would be easy for an entrepreneur to take a very sort of ego-focused approach.
Yes.
Maybe this is why this is my lesson, and therefore I'm going to put it in that next day. In large organizations, how does this play out when the organization may feel like it has an entirely different purpose than the individual?
Great question.
Really good question.
Awesome question. That's why we at True is actually being a purpose-led institution. We actually have a complete immersive experience for teammates to go through a personal purpose workshop exercise. So they articulate that, and then we help them connect the dots to the work they do every day. So you really want to ask, so the perfect example I got one time was software developer said, look, I'm on the back end, I don't ever see a client. That's a great purpose statement, but what the heck can I do to influence that outcome? And I said, well, let me ask you, what kind of software do you actually work on? And he said to me, well, it's for small business, money transfer software. And I said, so what is it in your software that you think you can continue to do, improve or do better, or just create, that will inspire and build better lives and communities? And they were like, wow, never thought of it that way. But they did come up with ideas, and that's then how they self-identified how they connected to the bigger purpose. And they went to work differently.
Amazing. So what is branding? We have a few definitions for you. The first, according to Merriam-Webster, branding is the promoting of a product or service by identifying it with a particular brand. But I'm curious to know what you think, Nikki.
So this is yet another definition of branding. And so branding is the process of creating a strong positive perception of a company, its products or services, in the customer's mind by combining such elements as logo, design, mission statement, and a consistent theme throughout all marketing communications.
So
Alex,
yeah, as a team,
as yet another
as a team,
version of it.
we came up and said, well, that's really not good enough, that definition before. We're like, it's really evolved to a lot more. So the words you see here in blue are the ones we interjected, and we said this is our brandscaping team definition of branding. Because what you'll see is we've put in, besides just perception of a company, we want to know its beliefs. That's what the modern day, people want to know what the company stands for. What do they believe? And so that's really important because that also informs how you do your products and services. And then experiences. We know in an experiential brand experience type of environment, this is just showing you the evolution of branding, the definition of branding, and why we did it this way to show you, we're not going to stop here. You saw that AI chatbot out there. They're improving it. That's going to play a role in this branding definition in the future. So we want you to see that it's all an evolution, and you get to help define it. Use these resources to make your brand come to life. That's why we position it this way. Nikki, do you want to add anything else?
I do. One of the things I want to point out, because we ended by saying throughout all marketing communications, I don't work for a large corporation. I run a branding firm, and we are constantly helping celebrities and different corporations and whomever think through their brands. And one of the things that I run into often is it can't just be on paper. It can't just be in your marketing materials. And just because you say it doesn't make it so. So as you think about this exercise, we have to be careful to make sure that it extends beyond marketing communications, because a brand should walk in the room as it is. And so we're not talking about personas. We're not talking about, maybe where you want to be 5 years from now. We are talking about what is your brand today. That's the biggest way to tackle this exercise, is to really think about your truth around who you are today. Okay?
That's amazing advice. So how do you create a brand? And as we discuss this next section, we really encourage you all to begin thinking about your own brand, personal or company, and jot down some initial thoughts that come to mind as this will begin your brandscaping process. So how do you create a brand? Where do you start? What are my first steps? Nikki, can you start us off?
Absolutely. Okay. So we'd like for you guys to consider the anatomy of a brand, okay? And so this is the basic anatomy of a brand. Brand promise, brand identity, brand attributes, brand personality. You guys may have heard of some of these before. Brand promise is basically, what is that commitment? You know, what is the commitment that you deliver consistently? Brand identity is what most people think of as branding. So most people think of just the visual piece, right? The logo, the mark, some people call the verbal elements, color, design, language, logo. Brand attributes are the core values. And so as you think about yourselves, what are your core values? What are the characteristics, not that you want to be known for, but that you're known for? And what are the qualities that define who you are as a brand or as a company or a personal brand? And then what's that brand personality? The personification of a brand through specific human characteristics and qualities, guiding its voice, tone, and style of communication. Another way to tackle that, I always do this, it's always interesting what people come up with, is to think of yourself as an animal. So if you were an animal, what kind of animal would you be? Would you be a bee? Would you be a bear? Would you be a hawk? And so just think about that. But personality, if you had to define Essence's personality, you could look at what she's wearing and how she approaches, you know, just the stage to sort of get some elements around that.
And connected to Truest. She gave us the Truest
purple. So definitely think about in cases where if you are like me, you are your brand, right? And so that personality is really important. And the most important thing on the personality side is just being authentic.
This is just like, isn't this so good? I'm learning so much, even just up here moderating. This is just absolutely amazing. What about laying the foundation, Alex and Nikki?
So I'll kick it off and then Alex can jump in. Again, Alex touched on this later, but it's really about asking the important questions. So what are the critical questions? Why am I here? What did I come to get? Who am I? What do I stand for? What do I not stand for? Who do I serve? Who is my target audience? How do I serve? Or how do I want to serve them? What makes me distinct? Alex has a really good point that we'd love for her to share about the difference between distinction and differentiator. What makes you uniquely you? What makes me authentic and believable? And is it connected to my purpose, right? So again, all of these things now have to ladder back up to your purpose, right? And Alex,
Should I go
back?
Give you a little bit of the nuance.
I think you should share.
Okay.
Yes.
So Nikki asked me our conversation in preparation for this, this conversation about being distinct or different, what be differentiated in the market. You've heard that many times, and differentiation is great. You got to start there to be noticed by your target audience. There's so much out there, especially as we were talking in the massive, overwhelming brandscape out there. But to push further, go to distinct. And so what distinct is different. Let me start with difference. Differentiation is just saying, I am different than the next one. So we have different voices. As you can see, when we talk, all of us have different voices, but some people have distinct voices. And so when you can hear somebody, think of like radio personality, TV personalities, you hear that voice, you're like, that is distinctly that person. It's not just a different voice, it is distinct. And so brands can do that as well. So, and the way you really can break through with that is using all the components of branding. I mean, we might say use all the senses, use the brand personalities. So an example would be Harley Davidson. As a great example, when you think of that brand, you're like, oh, they've even branded their motorcycle sound. I mean, they've got that trademark. So when you think of Harley Davidson, they've activated all the senses. They have, put their brand personality. You can see the rebel, and the American flag guy and the, older guy on the motorcycle. There are all these things that come with it in your mind immediately. And it's just another motorcycle, you could say, but no. It is distinct in its market position, and it distinctly attracts that target audience. And they're working on expanding that. But think of some brands, and then you can say, yeah, that brand stands out from all its competitor peers.
Making a plan how to get your brand noticed by your target audience.
So that picks up on what I was just saying is, what do I want to say? Is this me talking about this? Or did I just...
Either one of us could
Oh, yeah, why don't you go for it? I think
Good
you
thing
got a
we
better
know
one.
it, right?
You better talk about this one, Nikki.
So basically, what do I want to say? So how do you get your brand noticed by your target audience? Determining what you want to say, organizing, what distinctive resonating content, organizing your content, thinking about where you should say it, what channels, what platforms, and which of those platforms are used by the target audience that you're after. How do you want to show up? Visually, verbally, experientially. How can you ensure consistency everywhere? That's the number one thing that I see. When I get clients, today there's something, tomorrow there's something else, right? So how can you ensure consistency everywhere? Brand audit, which you guys will actually, we have prepared a brand audit for you so you can go through it for yourself. It is the absolute most important first step. I never take on a client without going through a brand audit because many people think they are somewhere they're not.
Wow.
What is my authenticity perception? Building trust is really important. I just want to point this out because I work with banks, businesses, but when I met Alex, I bought into Truist.
Yes.
It
same.
felt like it was real to me, and I understood. And then on my own, I went and looked up the color and why did they pick purple and why are the two T's together? And it just gave me an appreciation. So that authenticity and also just really having humans that can make the brand emotionally connect is really, really important. So I will forever look at that organization differently because of how she walked in the room, how she walked, onto the call.
Wow.
Even when she was, so the point is, if you want to know what a brand is, don't ask it, watch it.
Yes.
Right?
We can clap for that.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
How do I manage my reputation? I just read a really good interview from Scooter Braun, and he was talking about managing his reputation and how, he just had a lot of challenges managing his reputation. But what do people say about me? And the reality is, if you're going to be in business, you may not always get it right. I always tell my team, if you don't get it right, make it right, right? You're not going to always get it right. How can I break through the clutter and be distinct? And I think Alex has already touched on that. So.
That was beautiful. That was really, really good.
So this is one that I'm going to
With a nice visual.
So this kind of continues on the theme is how can I be distinct and how can I attract my target audience? So I would say, how do you find that needle in the haystack, your exact target client, desired client, become the magnet that attracts it? So you see my little mock-up here that we did with the magnet in there. It's just to anchor a visual in your mind that what you want to think of energetically becoming is you want to be so attractive to that exact client. Define your target audience and target client first, only the ones you really want, and then design everything you're doing for that target, and then you'll get the ancillary benefits for the others too, but design your frequency of that magnet to attract those needles in the haystack that are your perfect client.
And we have more visuals.
Yeah, this one, these are the way I think of things and the way things make sense to me and how I can remember them is, so this is an elephant in the zoo. So this is, everybody's, when you go to a zoo, you expect to see an elephant in the zoo. Well, how unique is that? You expect to see an elephant in the zoo. Well, that's basically how a brand is in a saturated market. You're just another one of those things. You expect to see banks all over the place, nothing special. But the way you break through is that's an elephant in a hotel lobby. Do you know how much PR we're going to get for that? Do you know how many people are going to be Instagramming this and taking selfies with that elephant? I mean, you can't really make up the value you gain from repositioning your brand where you think that audience is going to be. You don't have to pay anything more. It's simply choose a different location. Don't take the saturated place. Take it distinctly where your clients are, where nobody else is thinking. So I know it's a silly mock-up, but I hope you'll remember it and think of your own brand. How can you be the elephant in a hotel lobby? And then invite all the press you can.
I think we're all going to remember all three of these visuals. Alex and Nikki, do you want to quickly summarize what we went over? And then I just want to make sure we're still good on time. I think we had a stop at 12, but I want to make sure we have time for questions.
I think you do, 10 minutes.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so I'll summarize this. So today we talked through what branding is. We also talked through the key areas of branding, so the anatomy of a brand, how to build a brand and identify the by identifying the fundamentals first, how to make a brand plan to stand out in a saturated market and attract your target clients, and then also how to do a brand audit to ensure brand health. And we will go over resources, I think, right after this. So,
Yep.
Alex, if you could take that one.
Yeah, so this one is really, this is the fun part where don't stress, you can download all this. Remember, if you came in late, we did cover it early, but all of what we shared today is downloadable, and you'll see it in a second where on all of our LinkedIn contacts, but also Nikki put it on her company website. You'll see it there. But the idea is we have offered you here a personal brand audit exercise and one for a business. So think of those, whatever applies to you, but do them both if they apply to you. The reason a brand audit is it's an evaluation of your brand where things are today, and it shows its strengths and its weaknesses. And it's a quick, SWOT analysis, if you will. And so a quick assessment just to know where your gaps are so you can hone in on where you need to fix it. Don't let it go too far because that's brand erosion. So you want to do this on an annual basis, almost like an annual checkup at the doctor's. Just put on your calendar, I'm going to do a self-brand audit. I just did one the other day and realized my purse was falling apart. That didn't look good. And I am not joking. I told Nikki this and I was like, I went out and ordered a new purse. But that's the kind of thing I want you to think about when you are your brand. Pay attention. The details matter and the company, those matter too. And a big brand like Truist has to do this all the time. And sometimes we're out there seeing somebody using our sign in a terrible way and they have to go like, nope, that's not it. We got to care enough to call the brand people to say that needs fixing. But if you let it go a little bit, it's a sign that you're not in control of your brand. So that's why these things matters. And we'll take you through what this looks like real quick. Nikki, you want to go over this one?
Yes, so this is a simplified formula that I typically will use to really get people to think about their brands, right? So your personal brand is what you consistently contribute by your presence and your talent. Your identity is who you are and what you're about, and others' expectations, what others associate with your presence and your talent. And that goes back to the point that I made about it doesn't make it so just because you put it on paper, right? So you want your brand, you want to understand that your personal brand is who I am and also what other people can expect from me. What are the deliverables that you are known for delivering? And then these are just components. And so purpose, vision, I'm not going to read all of them, but in the brand audit, you'll see specific questions that really prompt you to think about these in a deeper way. I just went through a brand audit also. And yeah, I won't share it, but I just went through a very intense brand audit on myself, and it actually made me do an entire pivot and shift on how we market our company. So these, as you can see, there's questions. I think the gentleman in the yellow was asking a question that was very important because you do want to understand the differences between purpose, mission, vision. What are those nuances and what are those differences? And so you guys will get to go through this and really, once you finish it, it will be enlightening. If you are truthful and if you take the time to do it in depth, it will really help. And so I think, yes.
Yeah, this is just the same version for business. We won't take more time, but you'll see the same concepts there. But the questions are just very relevant. They're tweaked, of course, to a business model. So you can go through those. You'll see those we showed them here so you can see what you'll expect in the download. It's a good exercise. This can take you a long time if you want. Do it as thorough, as high level as you want. Don't be daunted by it. Just get started. That's what we say. And then set your calendar to repeat every year. And then back to you.
Additional resources. Back to you, Nikki.
So as we've already mentioned this, but we have it both on on my company's website, as well as we have 2 articles and the personal and the business brand audit which you can find all of those there now. They will also be on our individual LinkedIns.
And that was perfect timing. Wow, we really knocked that out of the park. We did a great job, okay?
We just figured it out.
Thank you all so much for coming. As Nikki said, you can find all of us on LinkedIn. We will be sharing the downloadable presentation. And we now open this up for questions. I believe we have about 10 minutes.
Yes, over here.
What would you say would be the top 3 things for a startup concerning branding? Because there are already so many different things that are going on. What would be the top 3 things to focus on if you're looking at starting your business?
So I think one of the first things, before you start promoting it, try to get those categories that when we talked about the anatomy of a brand, try to think through what is your brand identity? What are like the basic fundamentals? But even prior to that, asking the question, what is your purpose? Why are you here? What is it that you are intending to do with this business? But once you figure that out, get those materials right and make sure that everything aligns with your purpose. And then you can start thinking through the materials and what you need to actually move forward.
Oh, we have one back there.
I've never gotten that.
Did you say twins?
Twins. That's a
Okay.
first.
I think I would consider a joint brand, and first with your individual. You're still a human being with your own soul. So it starts with your soul purpose, which is while you're so, joined, I would define your individual one first, and then look at the same exercise as a dual brand, because I do believe twins come. I have 3 sisters. We used to be very similar. They thought we were quadruplets. So it does attract a different attention. Leverage it to your benefit, I would say, but define each.
What is your industry, just by out of
Oh, yes. Are you wearing your products now? Are you wearing your product now? Amazing. I know that's right, advertisement.
The reason that I asked is because we just work with twins that both got drafted. And so they were a joint product in many ways, and then they were also separate, and they both got drafted, luckily. But I think it's interesting because depending on your industry, that personality can come out differently.
Yes.
And so that's where you guys can really have fun.
Hang on, which one do we have?
One here and one in the back.
Yes.
So you got the elephant out of the zoo and into the lobby. How did you determine the lobby was the best place?
Oh, that's a great
It's
question.
basically market study. So what you look at, what that symbolizes is knowing your target audience so well from brand research and insights to know where that target sits and operates casually, where they might not be expecting to make those purchase decisions. So think about in the banking industry where some of our competitors have actually done the cafe model. So people like Starbucks, right? I mean, I've always thought we should have a partnership with Starbucks and just plant ourselves in there. Well, other banks are doing the cafe version, but the partnership of Starbucks would sure be fabulous because we know, wow, millennials are there. We're trying to attract some more. They have disposable income. They know they like Starbucks. We should figure that out. So suddenly, that's how we become the elephant who shows up at Starbucks. That's the concept.
And as you think about that, the lobby may not always be the right fit for you. Alex and I, we were laughing because we're very different. I'm referral only, so I'm not looking for press. 99% of my clients are referred. And I lean on that distinction because I want you to find me because of my track record of transforming people, right? And building brands that I can do time after time again, and I'm known for, if you want to be transformed, if you want to take a brand from here to here, if you want people to emotionally connect, you go see her. And so I'm not the person that's trying to be in the lobby.
I'll be referring business to her because now that I know what she does really well, I'll be referring business to her.
So your lobby could be a school bus, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We had one more right here.
Oh, yes.
So as an entrepreneur, if you're working in a service business, most people look at you as the brand, as the business. If you're looking to grow and expand your business into a franchise where you have more employees, what do you think is the best way to separate your brand from your personal brand to your actual business?
It's probably when
You look so familiar to me.
Yeah, we met
Okay.
at the Coast Summit.
Okay, Nike. Okay, I can give you a personal example because I just so happened to work with him, and I will tell you what stood out about your brand. I thought, he was more professional than any photographer, videographer I had ever encountered. He was on time, he was there first, he pulled me aside, he prepped me. He did the work of like 4 or 5 different people, so I can speak, and I just recognized his voice. So that is an example of you separating yourself because you are in an industry, it was a Nike summit, I think I was on the panel. You are in an industry where it's acceptable to be late, it's acceptable to not be prepared, and I was asking him tough questions and he was just there on assignment and he wasn't even there to cover me. But he stayed in my mind. And so I think that you are on the right track because you already have a presence, you were personable, you walked me to the flower stand, I think. I think that you're already there. Like now you have to grow it and find other people like you that can carry out your vision.
So that, to me, I just want to build on that because listening to that story, that to me actually sounds like you've leaned into distinction in that offering. You did something so different. You kind of flipped the script. The norm is this, showing up late. All you had to do, I mean, it sounds all you have to do, but is just be earlier, be prepared, be a little better. I mean, if you understand what your competitors are doing or not doing, that's where you can quickly grab distinction.
What is the difference
Thank you.
between brand and logo?
Take that one, Alex.
So between brand and logo, fabulous question. So a logo is just, it is designed to be a recognizable symbol of all that is unpacked behind it, right? And so you said logo versus brand. So the brand is everything that you can touch and feel and consume about that brand, all those experiential things too. A logo could never encompass it all, but the idea of great branding and marketing is that you infuse through so many touch points, all of the senses of any one of us consumers, that suddenly when you see that truest logo, you suddenly remember this experience, this fabulous purple dress, Operation Hope, and all the Hope Global Forum, all the things you learned here, that becomes your visceral brand experience. I always call it that, because you use all your senses. That's the brand versus just the logo. But the logo will be your cue for all that experience.
And we had in the green blazer, I saw you with your hand, I wanted to get to you.
What happens when you brand yourself too well and overstep and transition within the same sector to something different? If people are having a hard time following. Just to give you context, I used to be a math tutor, I was a math teacher, now I write math books. So the books encompass everything that I have gained as far as an instructor, but people are still like, hey, these tutors know haven't in years. So when you are well in that space, how do you sever that so that people don't continue to put you in the box?
I personally don't think you sever it. I think you build upon it, and you create that distinction now between what you actually do and why you are more equipped to even sell math books, right? Like I kind of think you lean into it and you market it. Like you get your messaging is going to be really important. You know, that's why when you go through the brand audit, you really want to spend some time going through the messaging and really thinking through how is my message today different than my message yesterday and what I'm known for. I get that all the time, depending on who you talk to about me. I'm a publicist. Sometimes I'm called a publisher. Sometimes, like, because what are you going to walk around saying you're a brand strategist? I kind of answer to all of it. But again, because I'm referral only, I make sure that my marketing becomes what I deliver. And so those are the people that's going to make sure that they're bringing me more people, right? So figure out who you are, what you're delivering, how is it different, and also lean into what you've done, because I would imagine if you were a math tutor and you've been in that space, you're just transitioning and now you're going on the business side, right?
I would add to that too, is think of all, you don't want to lose your audience that you've built, right? Your followers, whatever. They may not all need you need what you have today, but what I would do is make a plan for how do you lay the breadcrumbs for how those people can follow you to where you are. You almost have to, it's a brand evolution, a brand growth, and if you do it too fast, you would cut the cord and they wouldn't connect to you anymore. but you don't have to risk that. And so what I would say is ensure you have a communication plan to bring them along to where you are. So now you've got all of those different clients with you because you've now said, now I'm all of this. And it might be relevant to them or not, but at least they could be good referrals if your theme has always been trust. So that's actually what I was going to say is build on the assets you've built in the other brands and trust hopefully being the one that they would continue to trust you to work with forward.
I'm gonna just throw this out there, you can catch it, trash it. I just heard a passive stream of income, quite frankly. Find someone who does what you do as well as you do, and instead of turning away people who do it, have a two business.
You know what the problem is?
Interesting too.
People personally connect you. I want your heart. Like,
She's got the brand.
I've been through that in my younger years, in my first business, and it was difficult because when people become accustomed to my instructional style, it's not something it's a natural gift. So it's like you can have people who are really great at math and they're not great. And it's very hard
Yes.
to find somebody who's well versed and who has what I have. And when people connect with that, it's like when people want you, they want you. They don't want your referral, they don't want your assistant, they don't want your associated name. That has been a gift and a curse. It's just very hard.
I'm so sorry, you all. We are at time. I'm getting the signal. But thank you all so much for
And
attending.
y'all get in touch.
Thank you, Nikki and Alex.
Thank you so much, Essence, for moderating.